Yeah, what is going on, everybody? It is yours truly, the Ace, and we have ourselves a special video today because in the month of July, we have not one, not two, but three huge blockbuster blockbuster movies that are
Throwback.
coming to the big screen. Yeah, we got three big blockbuster movies that are coming to the big screen. It is going to be a super Jurassic summer, and we're here to talk about it. So because it's such a big event, I had to bring on a special dais today. My boy T from Have You Seen That with T is in the building. What's good, brother?
What's going on, gentlemen? I'm happy to be here. I'm actually really excited about this July.
Yeah, I am too. And Zach Milne talks movies. We talk backstage about how much we miss you, Zach. I appreciate you for coming on. How you doing, man?
Yeah, it's an honor to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited to talk about something other than baby stuff for the next little bit. So this is very exciting for me.
Okay. And Frank G from Geek Spot News and, co-partner with T on the Island of Relevancy. I did get that right, T. Will be joining us soon. Also, Zach, before we get started, I want to congratulate you on 3,000, man. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, man. Thank you everybody who contributed to that. Like a lot, like you guys obviously have been supporting me for years now. So I appreciate all of that support and everybody who subscribed. It was very exciting, and I was sick that day too. So it was a pick me up for me to see that number kind of hit that threshold as I was coughing and just not doing well.
Nice. Yeah, nice. And also thank you to all the members. This is on the members channel. I will do a little bit of editing and it will be on the regular page. I'll drop it probably to first day of July, since this week is going to be pretty big. It's going to get started with Jurassic World Rebirth. So since it is getting started, let's go ahead and jump right into the next installment to the Jurassic Park franchise. Zach, we're going to start with you. What's your excitement level when it comes to this movie? I know you've seen all the trailers. What are your thoughts and how excited are you about this film?
Yeah, I think overall it's hard for me to get really high in excitement because I still have Jurassic World Dominion in my mouth. Trying to spit that out for years. But it's Gareth Edwards, which is, I think, a positive direction to go. We know from Godzilla, obviously, even Rogue One, that he can do scale. He can do big scaled action, and with dinosaurs I think he's gonna absolutely kill the action sequences in here. There's some aspects of the trailer that I think we'll get into a little bit later that have me a little bit concerned, for lack of a better word, that they may just be rinse and repeating some of the worst elements from past Jurassic Park movies into this movie. But as far as big exciting dinosaur action goes, which is what most of us, if not all of us, are going to this movie for, I think it's going to deliver quite a bit on those.
Yeah. T, you and I talked about this already. Me and T did a video, previewing all the Super Bowl trailers, and Jurassic World Rebirth is something that we talked about. Dude, funny segment that me and you talked about is with the T-Rex and how we kind of think it's going to be rinse and repeat at some point in time. Are they going to do the same stuff? Yeah, they probably will. But I'm all for that personally. Like, I do think like it does feel like a fresh start. And obviously, Scarlett Johansson is in this as well. You also have Mahershala Ali. So, Black Widow and Blade are kind of taking on the dinosaur universe. But yeah, I'm all for it. I'm kind of excited for it. T, what are your thoughts on it overall? What's your excitement level at?
So my excitement level is kind of mid with this movie because Jurassic Park, Jurassic World is kind of hit or miss. But the first of all of the trilogies have been great movies, right? Jurassic Park, the original, phenomenal movie. Jurassic World, the original, was a phenomenal movie. Then the sequels kind of fell off. So they're starting a whole new trilogy. So I'm assuming they hit us with their big guns first and then kind of lure you in to continue to get those billion-dollar paydays, because I think almost every single Jurassic World or Jurassic Park made $1 billion, like at least close to it. And Dominion, which was perhaps the worst of all of them, still made over $1 billion, which is insane, but people love dinosaurs, so.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you saying, it's all downhill after this. Is what it sounds
After
like.
this one, yes. Like this one is gonna be good because you got Blade, you got Black Widow, you got Mahershala Ali, you got Scarlett Johansson, and I'm assuming they're gonna be this franchise stars, kind of like Bryce Dallas Howard and I think that was. Did I just miss? Was it Bryce Dallas Howard or was
Yes.
was
Yeah,
it
Bryce
Jessica
Dallas Howard,
Chastain?
Chris Pratt.
I get those two mixed up for some strange reason because they kind of look exactly alike, but and Chris Pratt, right? So this now you have these two stars, which I don't know if that's the star power that kind of you need, but then again, I mean Laura Dern and Sam Neill was a star power for the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Well, the star power is always dinosaurs.
Well, yes,
that's
the
the star
dinosaurs.
power.
The dinosaurs are the star power, and people are gonna show up for it, but I don't expect this to be great, but at the same time, I do expect it to be fun. Everybody who watched the sneak preview that came out last Monday said it was pretty fun.
Yeah. When it comes to sneak preview, I've been hearing a lot of good things. I'm hearing that it's the most action packed of all the Jurassic Park movies, and I'm hearing that it's also the funniest of all the Jurassic Park movies. That kind of scares me because like I don't go into these movies expecting to laugh a lot. Like there was this one, I forget the one channel that was talking about it, but they counted the amount of times that people were laughing, and I think they were saying like it was over 20 times that people were laughing. So I don't go into these movies thinking that that's gonna mix well. Like a joke or two here or there, like that's a ginormous pile of shit or whatever. Like that's a subtle joke that's memorable. But I just don't expect that. But you're gonna up the action dinosaurs. I'm all for that. Like, Zach was saying, I'm okay if they follow the formula to an extent, but it does seem like, once again, they're kind of doing the same stuff as Frank G is in the building. What's good, Frank? How you doing, man?
I'm exhausted. How are you? Oh.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Good to have the boys back, and I appreciate it, Frank. We're in the middle of talking about SuperJurasstic. But I feel like they are going to do the same stuff. Create something that looks like that. What is it? Like a Rancor / Xenomorph or whatever. And like T and I talked about, that poor thing isn't going to stand a chance because at some point in time, a T-Rex is going to come in there and save the day. It really is. And, they'll do something stupid over the top. Like the protagonist will be in a dire situation and then they're going to airdrop a T-Rex there and it's just GG's from that point on. But it doesn't seem like, I'm kind of excited about this. I'm going to go and see it. I already have my tickets for this week. So it's definitely something I'm going to check out. Frank, we're going to go ahead and go to you. What is your excitement level on Jurassic World Rebirth?
0. I'm the last person to talk to about Jurassic Park. I've only seen the very first one, and I just never caught around to them.
Okay.
I'm an absolute 0 on this subject right now.
Okay, so never interested in any of that. So you
Not
should go
really.
watch them. Some of them are good. Like Jurassic World is pretty good. Jurassic Park 2 has its problems. They all have their problems, but they're watchable movies. And like T had said, they all hit over $1 billion, $1 million, $1 billion. They make money. So but we'll go ahead and go more into the trailer. Zach, you were saying you did have some concerns with that.
Yeah. I don't dislike Lost World or Jurassic Park 3, but they're weaker than the rest of the franchise, I would say. And this looks like there's just a couple aspects of it that feel a little bit too pulled from those movies. Of course, we've got the expedition once again on an island, very much like Jurassic Park 3. There was a shot in the trailer. I don't know how much of an extent it's going to be in the movie, but they're carrying around this little T-Rex baby or little dinosaur baby. And at the Lost World, they carried around a little T-Rex baby, and that didn't go well for them and stuff. So it just those little aspects that rear its head in the trailer that look like they're pulling straight from past sequels. It doesn't interest me face value at that point. And also just like doing more mutations with dinosaurs and having another mutant dinosaur, like it's just stuff that we've seen over and over again from this franchise. And it's a franchise that for me has dwindling returns. So when you're just rinsing, repeating elements and aspects from past movies, it's hard for me to get really excited when the franchise itself kind of has to do more for me to build itself back up in my eyes. But as long as I don't see any locusts in this film, I'm probably gonna have a good time. I'll probably be happy, to be honest.
Yeah, I hope not, because Jurassic World Dominion was terrible. But I mean, is it one of those things like are they rinse and repeating, or are they more like trying to show a little homage to the originals?
I think that's a blurred line that you won't fully know until you see the movie itself. Just going off of the trailer, though, just like the impressions that I'm getting, it just looks like they're pulling a lot from past movies, and I want something new. I want something new and exciting, and of course, I want dinosaur mayhem as well. So as long as they deliver dinosaur mayhem, I'm probably gonna walk out having had a good time and won't care too much about the plot, because for the Jurassic World movies, the plot has never been my favorite part of the movies themselves. It's always just been the dinosaurs. But yeah, it's a movie that superficially has me excited because of the big action that I'm expecting to get. But when it comes to character and story, I'm not really expecting that to be something that resonates with me, if that makes sense.
Okay. T, anything you want to add on to that?
There is a scene in the trailer that has a family on a life raft or a raft, or like a inflatable raft on this island filled with experimental dinosaurs. That upsets me so much. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. We have to have children in these movies for some. I mean, I understand. Like, there is a psychological part aspect to these movies where it's like, all right, if we have kids, if we have dinosaurs, if we have a couple, if we have these ingredients, we're gonna make $1 billion. Right. So I don't think the callbacks are homage. I think they're more kind of like, this is the formula to make a Jurassic World movie or Jurassic Park movie. And it works. Having cute kids in there and putting those kids in peril, because at some point they're going to get away and they're going to look back and the kids are going to be gone. They're like, where'd the kids go? Now we have to go find these kids and potentially a baby dinosaur. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it visually, once again, the dinosaur. My wife loves these Jurassic World movies. She loves the Jurassic Park movies. I go there for the action, right? And if this is the most action-packed one, then I'm all for it. But I just, like, you are gonna upset me when you try to explain why this family is on an expedition, like a husband and wife and 2 small children, to an island with experimental dinosaurs. Like, you're gonna insult my intelligence, and I'll get past it because we're. Say that again.
You know how hard it is to find a babysitter?
I mean, I guess you're right. Those are expensive, but I mean, at the same time, you're on a raft, surrounded by dinosaurs in the water. Like,
yeah. Well, apparently, expedition is cheaper than the babysitter. Apparently, because these people keep taking them on them. So, but no, when it comes to the kids, I mean, you made a good point, because it's in every movie. Like, I was just watching. I've been kind of like periodically watching the Jurassic Park movies, because I'm thinking about also doing a ranking after this movie comes out. And it always does piss me off, like in the first Jurassic Park movie, since that's the only one that Frank has seen. When the T-Rex first shows up, that little kid, man, why are you flashing the flashlight? Like you kind of do have to turn off your brain, because it is like it is like one of those things where it's like, there's no logic in any of these scenes at all, but you kind of just got to take it for what it's worth. As long as we have the dinosaurs, like Zach was saying, the dinosaurs are the big selling point. And that's why I think like a movie like Jurassic World Dominion kind of failed, because it stopped, being about the dinosaurs. It was great that they brought in the cast, and they were trying to do more like, Spider-Man No Way Home, where we're bringing together these generations, but they really did lose focus. The focus is the dinosaurs. So I feel like as long as you have the dinosaurs, you have some action, a somewhat believable plot, I think it will be a decent movie. But like I said, as far as my excitement level, I got this at the bottom of the 3 movies that we're talking about. But let's go ahead and move on to the next one. The movie that I am super excited about. I've been on record multiple times. I'm going on record once again. I think this is going to be the best Superman movie out there. Hands down. I like your shirt, Frank. There you go. That's a nice one. James Gunn's got that equity with me. I'm looking at it. I'm seeing the trailers. I like the vibrant vintage look that it's giving me. I like the fact that this dude is, the scenes that he's Clark, he feels like Clark. The scenes that he's Superman, he feels like Superman. I'm going on record. Like I said, I think this is going to be the best Superman movie. Frank, let's start with you. What's your excitement with Superman?
Okay, I can actually comment on this. I am a huge Marvel guy, but I am 10 times more excited for Superman. That first trailer, the teaser trailer, had me hooked instantly. This guy's got the look. He's got the Clark look. He's got the Superman look. And like you were saying with the James Gunn equity, I think the jokes are going to be there, but they're not going to be too over the top. The world itself right now needs a brighter Superman. I loved Henry Cavill. That's no secret. I loved Man of Steel. I thought it was good. This guy's going to go above and beyond that. I think the brighter, more hopeful look is good for this time in general. I just think that the cast that he has assembled and what we've seen, they look like they're going to nail it. And I saw two reviews that weren't really reviews because they signed NDAs, so they didn't give anything away. But the one that stuck with me, the guy's like, if you're a fan of Superman, he gets he got it. Like he grabbed it and he got it. I'm over the moon excited for this. I'm going to the early preview, the Amazon Prime early preview on July 8th with my friend Jack that I do the Geek Spot with. Kenny from the Discord is going to be there. We're going to meet up with him for the first time, so that's kind of cool. My boss or my manager is going. He has the Smallville Clark Kent red jacket. Like he's a huge Smallville fan. He's going. And then I'm going that Saturday with my son who wants to see it. But I have to see it because of spoilers. Because I'm over the moon excited for this. I think this is going to be. I think Fantastic Four is going to outshine it box wise, money wise, but I think they're going to be pretty close.
Okay. So Zach, I know you've been doing your Superman rankings. Make sure you guys go check that out on Zach's channel where he's been talking about doing reviews to all the Superman movies. What's your excitement with this one, Zach? Now that you've kind of, watched all the Superman movies and leading up to this, what's your excitement there?
I'm pretty excited because there's a couple reasons why I'm excited. There's the aspect of this is a brand new DC universe that is being issued in, right? And I wasn't a hater of the DCEU. There were definitely some movies in there that I enjoyed, but for the most part, I think many can agree that universe just didn't really grab on to the general audience. It wasn't nearly beloved as I think Warner Brothers wanted it to be, and even DC fans wanted to love it. So it's very exciting that that's getting scrapped. We're getting a brand new vision. It looks like James Gunn has just taken almost everything that he's learned while directing, because I have also gone back and watched all of James Gunn's films in the last month. So to see kind of the evolution of him as a filmmaker, and when he got into the comic book realm with Guardians of the Galaxy, going over to Suicide Squad, to see in the trailer those kind of like elements that he's learned all over the place is really exciting. I think that this is going to be, after watching all of the Superman films leading up to this film and reviewing them for the channel, I enjoy Reeve a lot. There's aspects about Returns that I like, but overall, I don't think it's a package that works fully for me. And I really enjoy Man of Steel. Going back and watching that one again, I think Zack Snyder's vision for that was interesting and different, and definitely more of a real world Superman, maybe a little bit too much to people's liking. But I think the best Superman movie is still yet to be made. Even watching all of these films, I think the best one is still yet to come. And I think James Gunn could possibly be the one who does it. Because the trailers have been a lot of fun. Everything about them is intriguing. The worrisome that I have a little bit with it is that James Gunn, being co-CEO of the studio, as well as director, does he have yes men? Does he have too many yes men around him? Will it look like he needs to be reined in a little bit? Like, when you got Kevin Feige as the boss and then a director separate from that. Kevin Feige and the studio can kind of step in and be like, hey, we're actually going to do this, we'll do this, and give notes. And sometimes studio notes get a bad rep, but at the same time, studio notes are important, and they've done a lot for movies in the past. So the fact that you've got James Gunn as CEO and director, where basically he can do whatever he wants. Will he have too much power? Will it affect the movie in a negative way? I don't know, but everything that I've seen so far and everything that I've seen from Gunn so far leads me to believe that this is at least going to be extremely entertaining and a really fun experience.
Yeah, I'm excited about this too. T, what are your thoughts?
So, I mean, this Superman's going to have a large hurdle to climb over. To be the best Superman movie, there's really one definitive best Superman movie of all time. That is Superman 4: Quest for Peace.
I actually thought you were going to say the one with Brandon Routh, because I know you like that one.
I actually did like Superman Returns, but I mean, in all seriousness, this Superman, like the trailers for the Superman movie have been just outstanding. They've gotten better. I've said this before. I've said this on Zach's channel. I've always thought of James Gunn as a bit of a con man and a swindler. Like just his words, the way he says things, how he words things, how he's so engaging online just doesn't lead me to like believe a lot of the things he's saying. Like he just, it's certain things he says that I've met people like James Gunn before, and it just kind of comes off as disingenuous to me. But at the same time, like he hasn't made bad movies, right? I wasn't a big fan of the Suicide Squad as much as a lot of people were. It was better than Suicide Squad, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. I do enjoy Peacemaker, but just what I've seen from the trailers, I feel like he's nailed Superman. Like I feel like David Cornsweet has just nailed every aspect of it, from Clark Kent to Superman. And I would be so disappointed if this movie isn't great, right? Because everything I've seen in the trailer, I feel like we've seen so much in the trailers. It's kind of just it's giving me a good feeling like this is gonna be the type of Superman movie that I like. Lex, like Nicholas Hoult, looks like he is gonna absolutely body this Lex performance. I think he's gonna actually steal the movie at some point because he just seems. He gets it, right? And I think that they're writing Lex. I like Gene Hackman. Not like Kevin Spacey. Definitely not like Jesse Eisenberg. But kind of like just a mixture of all of the cool qualities of Lex in the comics. They're finally going to do it on the big screen and give us that, like, you know, I'm the superior human Lex that, you know, that portrayal we just haven't seen. We've never got to see that. Once again, definitely not with the Jesse Eisenberg portrayal, because that was just Lex Luger as Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know what they were going there. I don't know what they were going for there, but yeah, like I just think this movie is gonna be great. Is it gonna be the best of the three? That's gonna be hard to say, but I feel like I'm a huge Superman fan. That is my favorite superhero of all time. And I feel like he's going to nail it, though. I feel like this is going to be great. And then part 2 and 3 probably won't be great. But this one, for sure, is going to be great.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Like, I'm the opposite T. I'm actually not a big Superman fan. Like, when it comes to all my favorite characters, like Superman's probably one of my least favorites. But I am like super excited for this because, like I said, it looks colorful. It feels like it's capturing the essence of Superman. From him saving people that we've seen all throughout the course of the trailer, being that symbol of hope. Now I know Snyder fans are gonna boycott this movie. They're still probably gonna see it just to tear this apart. Okay. But this is what the Superman should be like. It should be bright and vibrant. It shouldn't be that dark tone, you know, that we had in the Snyder cut, because that's not what Superman is. So I do feel like this is going to get back to the core of what he really is. And I also like the fact that it's not going to be a traditional origin movie. Much like how we got with Spider-Man No Way Home, we know the origins already. We don't need to, we don't need to see like what they do with Batman, how we see the alley scene a whole bunch of times. We don't need to see that again. We know what the origin is. Like, so you're bringing in these characters that are already somewhat established, whether it's, Hawk Girl, who I'm a big fan of Isabel Merced, You're also bringing in Guy Gardner. You're also bringing Mr. Terrific. So you already have an established universe. So you don't really have to worry about the world building too much because you've already kind of established it. Just kind of fine tune it. But the creativity that I've seen with this movie, like throughout the trailers, the little things, dude. Him flying up with Crypto. Well, I think Crypto is going to be great in this too. That's going to be a great dynamic and a great toy that's going to be on the market this entire summer. But him punching the guy in the teeth, hitting the camera, dude, that's creative as hell. If you give me stuff like that, like I understand it's a little bit fourth wall breaking, but it's very creative. Him flying around, the special effects look really good. Him using his laser vision, you could see, like, I don't know if they're gonna keep this true to form, but you're seeing like his eyes, like the smolder around his eyes from how powerful it is. Stuff like that is selling me. And like T was saying, every trailer has gotten better and better and better from this point. I'm so excited that I'm not gonna say this is my most anticipated movie of the year, but I don't see anything that could really like super disappoint me. Like T, you talked about what could kind of disappoint you a little bit. Frank, is there anything you're worried about with this movie?
With this movie, I don't know if I'm worried about anything. I know the thing around the eyes is they did that in the Superman and Lois TV show, like with Supergirl and with Superman, when they would expend too much, their eyes got real like smoldery red around it. I like that. I love the fact that this guy said that he was a huge Smallville fan growing up, that Tom Welling was his Superman growing up. I love that he's referencing that. Am I worried about anything? The only thing I could possibly worry about is if the jokes are too much. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think I'm trying not to read anything because I really want to, like, the last little TV spot I saw, I was really mad that I watched it because it just gave a little bit more into the movie. But supposedly most of the stuff that we're seeing in these trailers happens in the beginning of the movie. So that means there's a whole lot of movie left unexplored, which I like. I hate when movies pick throughout the movie and give you a trailer that ruins all these different spots. Mm-hmm. Yeah, are they ruining a spot or two? Maybe, but I still think there's so much more in this movie. I feel like I could be more let down by the next movie we're going to talk about than this movie.
Oh, wow. That would have been a good segue. Well, we'll talk about Fantastic Four in a second. T and Zach, is there anything that concerns you about this movie? Anything that kind of has you on the fence about it?
I mean, I can start. I think the worries I might have are a little bit more outside of the film, where it's so hyped up. Everyone is so excited about it that if it's not the second coming of comic book movies, I feel like there might be a lot of disappointment around it. And I just, at the end of the day, it's just going to be a movie, right? It's just going to be, whether you enjoy it or not, it's just going to be a movie. And the discourse around it before it comes out is already kind of annoying online, that I would worry that if it wasn't, great in people's eyes, that it's going to get unceremoniously and unfairly judged for not being the best Superman movie of all time. Because it's not going to be a perfect movie. Like, I don't think any of Gunn's movies are perfect movies. I think there are elements to Gunn as a filmmaker, and just also his sense of humor that is infused in each of his movies, that will either click with you or won't click with you. And the fact that this is 100% Gunn. He is the head of the studio. He is the director. He is the writer. Will he have too much of his Gunnisms in here? Will they connect? Because even with Guardians of the Galaxy, actually a good comparison is Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy has Gunnisms, but they're reined in because he had Kevin Feige and it was a sanitized Gunn vision. The Suicide Squad is Gunn unhinged. It is fully Gunn. It is his body horror roots from Slither. It is the gore and sometimes gross out action that you find in Super, and some of the humor that's found in Super as well, where it's just sometimes too far for some people. And it's also got his like misfit of characters in there as well. So is he going to be able to rein himself in enough where he's going to be able to connect with a wider audience, or is it going to be too much Gunn? I don't think it's going to be too much Gunn. I do think he's going to be able to find that balance. But if there was a worry, it's just that Gunn has so much power over this movie. Did he go drunk with it? That would be my worry.
Yeah.
My
Anything
worry
else that concerned you?
Say my worry, and this probably might offend people because there's so many dog lovers on this planet. Too much crypto, right?
Oh, we
like,
got Toxic T in the building today.
Yeah.
He's here.
like, so one of the things that made Guardians of the Galaxy 3 great was the Rocket backstory. And Gunn, we all know Gunn loves his animals, but like, let's not have him coming in and try to overshadow the story that's being told. Like, I feel like we're gonna have some serious action scenes, and then he's gonna come in and kind of lighten the tone on a lot of the action scenes, like, and do something that a bad dog would do. And not my thing. And like, I love animals just like any other human, but I don't simply adore them. And I like, that's not why I go to see movies. Like, that's one of the reasons why I'm not the hugest Jurassic Park fan, because I'm not like a dinosaur lover. Like, it doesn't excite me. I just like to watch movies, right? I like chaos in a movie. And this movie kind of looks like it'll be chaotic, but like, I feel like the dog is gonna come in and just not just play the comic relief, but kind of break up some of the tension in a lot of the scenes when it's not always necessary.
And to T's point, like, Gunn has famously said that he didn't want to do Superman. He didn't want to direct Superman anyways. But his in was when he got a dog and thought, what if this dog was a superhero? And that was why he decided to direct Superman. So to T's point, Gunn himself has said that crypto's a big reason why he even did this movie.
Now, there are going to be a lot of people who love that. Like, that's going to be the selling, that's a selling point for a lot of people. That's the end for a lot of people, is crypto, the super dog, right? But just not for me personally.
Yeah. So what percentage for you, T, would you like to see crypto in the movie? Just
10%.
High 80s, high 90s?
No, 10, 15 at the most.
So T would be royally pissed off if they did like a new Avengers. They just pulled the Superman thing off and it was just a crypto movie.
Crypto.
That would definitely make you mad, wouldn't it? You would probably leave, huh?
No, I would stay and just hate watch it.
Yeah. But I mean, crypto does add the fun to it. Like, with the, like we were talking about with the Super Bowl, it's just a new way to also advertise it. Like, because they did like the Puppy Bowl, which was great, you know what I'm saying? And the scenes that I've seen with them, I'm not like overly concerned about that. I'm just excited with this overall. Yeah. I think it looks fun. I think it's going to be a fresh, refreshing take on Superman. But, we're going to talk about this, after we talk about Jurassic Park, as far as the pressure it has on it. I do think that this movie does have a lot of pressure on it.
Okay.
Like Zach was saying, because of the outside stuff. But we'll get to that after we talk about this next one. So the movie that will be rounding off the month of July, Fantastic Four: First Steps. I think we all could agree that it won't be as bad as Fan4stick, or at least we hope not. But, so far with the Fantastic Four... Oh, man, dude, I'd walk out.
Imagine.
Us as content creators, we're going to have a lot to talk about when it comes to that. But with Fantastic Four: First Steps, I'm also super excited about this. And I'm also super excited about the popcorn bucket. I got to spend $80 on that Galactus head, and it's going to be crazy, the amount of stuff that's going into this. But Fantastic Four: First Steps, what are you guys' thoughts on it? Zach, we'll start with you.
So much like with James Gunn and Superman, I also a couple months back went and watched all the Fantastic Four movies that have come out, from Roger Corman's legendary Never Was Supposed to Be Seen to the Tim Story films, and then of course Fan4stick. And whether this movie's okay, whether this movie's all right or fantastic, whatever, no pun intended. If this isn't the best Fantastic Four movie, Marvel has failed. Because the bar is so low. From watching all those movies, I don't really like any of them. Like, the closest I got was Rise of the Silver Surfer, because it actually had like a narrative, whereas the first Tim Story is kind of just like a series of gags strung together with Doctor Doom in the background. This has to be the best one. If we're doing a ranking video and it's second place, if it's third place, I think Marvel has failed because the bar is so low. and you got to get the audience on board with this team, especially if you're going to like leading them into the rest of the MCU. So because of that, I'm actually pretty excited for it, because I think Marvel knows that, and I think they took their time with it, and I think that they put a lot of energy and focus on it, that I do think they're going to turn out a really good because they kind of have to. Like, it's hard to argue that they can let this one slide. Especially, I mean, obviously they didn't know this when they were developing the movie, but Thunderbolts isn't doing that well. Captain America didn't do that well. They need this to be their hit of the year, and if it's not, I worry for them, honestly, going into Doomsday.
Oh yeah, especially with like, me personally, I think Marvel's had a solid year. And I've been wanting them to build momentum leading into this movie, Fantastic Four, because like you said, it's the first family of Marvel, dude. They have to get this right, because we know the criticisms in Phase 4 and 5 that Marvel has seen. This could give you an effective restart and cap off the year on a good note, because like I said, I've enjoyed, whether it was Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Daredevil was good as well. Spider-Man, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was also solid as well. Ironheart is currently going on as well. I feel like Marvel has taken a step in the right direction. You got to keep that momentum, in my opinion. And this movie has to do that. Like you said, they have to nail this. The bar is set low, but they have to nail this. I don't think this has to be the best MCU movie, but it has to be really good. It looks really good. I've liked what I've seen so far. The aesthetic of it looks really good. I do think it's going to be something different than we expect, because they've shown us a lot. They have shown us a lot. Like the whole Franklin Richards thing, I didn't think they were going to get to that. Like it makes sense with the Fantastic Four First Steps, but I think it's going to be a very pivotal plot line. But it makes me think that what else have they not shown us? And it just adds to my excitement at the end of this month. T, how excited are you about this one?
I'm actually really excited about this one. From the trailers, I'm really confused with what's happening in this movie. Like, we go from a not pregnant to a pregnant Sue, then we see a pregnant in some of the scenes, and then we see Franklin Richards, a baby in a few of the scenes. So I'm intrigued how the story plays out. I kind of have an idea how the story is going to play out, but at the same time, I think I don't think that they can go wrong with this movie from what I've seen in the trailers. Once again, just like Superman, all of the trailers have been better. Every single trailer, like the dynamic between Johnny and Thing, phenomenal, right? Say the thing, like that's going to be one of the iconic scenes in that movie, is, like just their whole dynamic. I feel like they nailed Johnny Storm. Joseph Quinn is going to kill it as Johnny Storm. Sue Storm, like I was always sold on. I don't know why I can't think of her name right now.
Vanessa Kirby.
I was always Vanessa Kirby. I was always sold on her because of her looks, but now it looks like she actually understands the role. I'm still not sold on Pedro. Like, it's going to take a lot to sell me on Pedro as Reed Richards, but at the same time, he's a phenomenal actor. I haven't seen anything that hasn't dissuaded me from liking that character or liking the direction they're going with the character. The only thing that could ruin this experience for me is if they just completely nerf Galactus and beat him in some super hokey way, which I don't think they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll save my spoiler ideas for another day, another time, but I just think this movie's going to kill it. Now, is it going to make a lot of money? That remains to be seen. I don't think it's going to make as much as Marvel thinks it's going to make, because there is a contingent out there who hates women. They hate anything that's just not them. They hate that, there is a contingent out there of, I don't want to call them Marvel fans, because I got told that it's disingenuous to blame Marvel fans for what's happening in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But boy, there's a large group of people out there who don't want to see anything that is not a white male succeed on the big screen. And we've seen that. We've seen that in Thunderbolts, where we have Yelena as the lead. We've seen that in Brave New World, where we got Sam as the lead. And the word is that Ironheart, which is a phenomenal series, by the way. I love the first 3 episodes. But once again, like people would talk about Sue as the heart of the family, which is generally how a lot of families are. The mother, the wife, steers the ship a lot of the times, although the man goes out there and does what the men do. But at the same time, like people would just, it's sad, but I feel like it's going to affect Fantastic Four more than it needs to, unless the day after it releases, we start seeing them pictures of Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
Like,
that's
the
why.
day after it releases, and finally people can talk about the spoilers, and you see Victor Von Doom pop up on your screen. That'll help it sell much. That'll help us sell some tickets too. Unfortunately,
Well, I want to get Frank's thoughts before we get into that type of talk. Frank, what are your thoughts on how excited are you about this?
Okay, so I said I was more excited for Superman, which I am, but I'm very excited for this. I don't read comic books, or I haven't in a long time. So I talked to my friend Jack about this because there's, again, like T was saying, there's a lot of stuff out there about the woman being in charge and Sue Storm being basically in charge of the family. And he said, that's how it's been in the comic book for years. She's always been the lead. She's been in charge of the family. So they're not really doing anything new. They're just putting it out on the screen now. Okay, I'm fine with that. I have no problem with it. The only little problem I have is how does Thing have a beard? Now, I'm sure you can explain that pretty easily, but it's not a problem for me. I'm excited for this movie because they're going to kick off this next wave of what I hope are better movies. I think over the last couple of years, they've tried to cram so much stuff into such a small amount of time. And to watch a movie, you have to watch 43 TV shows, 16 movies, and then you understand what's going on, which is a problem. Not for us, people like us that do that, but I think them, as Zach said, and taking their time with the movie is going to pay off monster dividends for them. Hi, Kenny, what's up? I'm very, very excited for the movie. I think if they can bridge this family into the current universe without it being really, really messed up, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. But one thing I'm curious about, if this movie does flop, and if this is ranked second, third, fourth, does that mean Feige's job's on the line at some point now? Or does he still, is he safe through the Robert Downey Jr. movies? Because you know that they're going to make the money that they're going to make because he's attached to them. Is he safe? Or does this kind of push him a little bit onto the hot seat finally?
Can I speak to that real quick?
Yes.
I think that in some ways Fantastic Four is the last remnant of the Bob Chapek era.
Okay.
Where Bob Iger, stepped down as CEO of Disney, Bob Chapek stepped in. The reason why we got so much on Disney Plus from Marvel is because Chapek mandated that. He put bankers as middle management over the creatives. They got told what they had to get made and where it had to go and how much they needed for Disney Plus and this and that. But now that Bob Chapek's gone, Bob Iger's back, but all of those projects that were in development are still needing to come out. And right. I think Fantastic Four is the last one under the Chapek era, because then we get like Brand New World and Doomsday, which is when Bob Iger was back in CEO and everything. So I feel like Kevin Feige's kind of got a safe haven there. Whereas we'll see how Doomsday, we'll see how Secret Wars and all that progresses now that we're out of the Chapek era. Whereas I do think that Chapek did a lot of damage to both, Marvel and Star Wars and Pixar. Like, they're the reason why Scarlett Johansson has a big problem with them now, because Chapek screwed her over and they still are recovering from that relationship. There's a lot that happened with the CEO changeover that really did hurt Disney as a whole. And they're still trying to dig themselves out of the hole that Chapek got them in.
Yeah,
that's a great point that Kenny just made.
Yeah. Also, I also think the Russos have something to do with that as well. As long as they're there,
well, that's
like T was saying, because they're gonna ride this thing out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and see how it goes and how it's tied in. Because, like, think about it, the Russos directed the post-credit scene to Thunderbolts. They brought them in to do that one. So it feels like Marvel's kind of getting that sense of direction back, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it is a lot of pressure on them. You know, we're going to talk about which movie has the most pressure, but this movie does have a lot of pressure because of how big the MCU is. But I feel like MCU has to get back to quality instead of quantity. And this is the perfect movie for it because this is a big property. It hasn't been done the justice that it's been done throughout the course of its lifeline since they started making live action movies. So like Zach was saying, the bar isn't high, but it kind of needs to be for the sake of the MCU. Like I said, I don't think it needs to be the best one, but it needs to be good. Now, you guys are talking about the thing with the beard. It kind of just makes me think like this movie does have the potential to kind of be all over the place because in the comic books, Thing grows the beard because he ages. So you have Johnny there, but Thing, you have an aged Thing. So it makes me think that this movie is going to have multiverse aspects in it because you're going to have to if you're going to be bringing them in from their timeline into the MCU like we saw at the end of Thunderbolts. So it's going to have some sort of multiverse implications to it. I just hope it's not anything crazy. I personally think it's going to be a lot of moving from different timelines. I also think it'd kind of be crazy if like the scenes that we've seen them where they're leaving to go on a ship and everybody's like, is it going to be okay if they're like abandoning that universe because there's no way they can save it and they have to go to another one to kind of figure out how to save it? I think that'd be a crazy concept, but we're going to have to see. But this movie does have a lot of pressure on it.
I know that the Thing, so I saw something the other day where he ages like 1 day for every year that he's alive or something, but I just did a quick look. So he only ages in human form, doesn't age in rock form, which makes sense. Rocks don't age, really. I think I see what you were saying earlier about the pregnant and not pregnant, and Marvel's done that with their trailers forever. I mean, if you look back at the Infinity War trailer and you look back at the Endgame trailer, and then you realize, oh my God, like there's so much missing in those trailers, which I'm super grateful for. Not showing, I mean, everybody figured out she was pregnant anyway when they saw the first trailer just by the way she was moving. You know, and I'm okay with that. Hide that stuff, but then you hit it, but then you showed it. So it's like that part I don't understand, but I don't think it's going to cause any damage to this at all. I think this movie is going to pull in more money than Superman, personally.
I don't. I think Superman.
We're winning either way, but
they're gonna get hate watch. The Superman's gonna get hate watch. Like people from the Snyderverse and the DCEU are gonna go watch it just to try to tear it apart. So I do think Superman will make more money. But when it comes to this movie too, like we're gonna talk about like things that we're kind of talking about it now, like things that kind of concern us. T had mentioned with Galactus as far as nerfing it. I'm all with your point on that because I'm afraid that Doctor Doom looming over this movie, and he's going to have to come in at some point. And I do like the theory that he's the one that's flying in the ship at the end of Thunderbolts. I think that'd be crazy. But I feel like if Doctor Doom's presence is there, it's going to take away from Galactus. And I want a good story with Galactus. Don't defeat him easily and then all of a sudden Doctor Doom is there. That would piss me off because he's such a big character, and especially because he was a cloud in the last movie we saw him. So now we're finally getting to see him more to scale from what we've seen. And if I'm paying $80 for a popcorn bucket and you're going to nerf this character that you're pushing, it's going to royally upset me. But that's just some of my concerns. But I do think this movie is going to be successful overall.
I mean, so everybody's idea of what success looks like is so different now. Like people's idea of success is, oh, it made $1 billion. I don't think this movie is going to make $1 billion. Like, I don't know if Superman's going to make $1 billion. I don't know if this Jurassic World is going to make $1 billion. Like, that's kind of the world we're living in now, because of whatever reason, right? Just the discourse over what is diverse, what is woke, like all of these different things. And you have a female lead in Jurassic World. You have the family unit in Fantastic Four, and then you have the Snyder cult that's just leeching, like trying to just do everything in their power to discredit this Superman, which at the end of the day, I feel like the people who lose the most are the fans. Because if this movie is great, right, and it doesn't make that much money, like a lot of people love the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts is like one of the lowest grossing Marvel movies of all time. But people loved it, right? It was a great
I
movie.
enjoyed the hell out of it.
It also wasn't in theaters that long. They pulled it real quick.
Because it wasn't making money.
Yeah, it wasn't making the money. Yeah,
like it wasn't making money. And now the next time you see the Thunder, I mean, think about it. Shang-Chi was a great movie. Didn't make as much money. Like it wasn't quote unquote as successful as some say Spider-Man No Way Home. And we haven't heard of Shang-Chi in the what? I don't know when the heck they made that movie. What, 2020, 21? That was pandemic time. Like, so we're 4 or 5 years later and we haven't seen a second Shang-Chi. Fantastic Four doesn't do well. I mean, they'll be in Doomsday because we've already seen the chairs, but if Fantastic Four doesn't do well, Marvel should be terrified of what the numbers Doomsday is going to do. Because I feel like this movie is it, right? This is going to be an epic movie. It seems like it's going to be one of those huge, almost event-like movies, but at the same time, smaller in stature. Like this could be an Avengers level movie with the stakes that we have in this movie. And if people don't show up to it, like, yeah, Marvel should be terrified because even with, because RDJ for sure, there's no scenario on this planet that RDJ doesn't show up in this movie at some point.
I don't think he shows up until a post-credit scene,
which is fine.
Perhaps.
I'm okay with that. I mean,
that's
yeah,
perfectly fine.
Yeah,
because look at Thunderbolts. Like Marvel needs to get back to the point where the post-credit scenes lead to the next movie, and I felt like they did that with Thunderbolts.
Yep.
But so many other Marvel end credit scenes we're probably not going to see fulfilled, like because they kind of just did stuff. So this next movie needs to build excitement. So I have no doubt that Robert Downey Jr. is showing up at the end credit scene. I just don't want it to take away from Galactus.
Right. Which is why I mean, I know the director said that he's not going to be in the movie at all. And that's fine. But I mean, you know,
they say a lot of things.
Right. They say a lot of things but to have him in the movie, I think would take away from Galactus, and you want to make Galactus this big thing, and Dom's spending $80 on a popcorn bucket that I'm also probably going to do too. But having Doomsday in the Fantastic Four movie totally undercuts Galactus in every way, I think, because it's just his star. It's Robert Downey Jr. So, I mean, it's, you know, his star shining brighter.
So if he didn't show up in the movie at all, would you guys be disappointed?
Nope.
Not if the movie was good.
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I'm not the biggest RDJ fan. Like, he doesn't move the needle to me where, like, I'm not going to go see this movie because he's not in it, or I'm going to go see this movie just because he's in it. Like, that's just not me. Like, he really don't, like, to me, that was like a very desperate move by Marvel. I would almost not want to see the movie because he's going to be in it, because I feel like that's desperation. So whether he's in this movie or not, it really doesn't matter to me. I feel like it's going to be a good movie either way.
Yeah, and we did talk about that a while ago too. Like the effects of bringing back Robert Downey Jr. You know, could it be seen as a move of desperation, and also bringing back the Russo brothers? Sure, they could just be feeling the pressure. Which, you know, let's go ahead and talk about which of the three movies has the most pressure on it, because each individual movie has its own kind of hurdles that it's going to have to overcome. Jurassic World 3, we know how bad Dominion was. It's also having the pressure of having to start a brand new trilogy. Superman, we know with the pressure of Superman, because, you know, the Snyder people, the DCEU people are putting a lot of off-screen pressure on it. They're critiquing every little aspect about this, and it's also the starting point to the DCU as well. James Gunn's, you know, film on top of that, and then Fantastic Four, who Marvel has been kind of up and down since the Infinity Saga. We've gotten some good movies in Phase 4 and 5, but as a whole, they definitely showed a lot of chinks in the armor. So Fantastic Four does have a lot of pressure on it. So which of the three movies do you guys think has the most pressure? T, we'll start with you.
The most pressure, I would say Superman, because if Superman fails, and once again, I'm not saying like under $1 billion is not a failure to me, but if
Mhm.
Superman doesn't make back his budget and then some, like a little bit more, then that's going to be considered a failure, and that would derail this entire vision that James Gunn has, because this is the silver bullet, right? This is like your golden goose is Superman, right? Batman, I get it, but like that's another story for another day. What they're deciding to do with Batman in this DCEU, we could spend a whole nother hour just talking about that. But this is your golden gun, right? This is the start. If Fantastic Four doesn't do well, there's still hope for Doomsday, right? We know that we have something coming in Doomsday. But like if Superman doesn't do well, then Supergirl's that's gonna go in the negative press from Superman's gonna reek onto that. And boy, we all know that people don't want to see women girl bosses, as they like to call them now. They don't want, like, people just for some reason, right? Which I don't know why. They just shun that. But if Superman does well, you get that goodwill, and you get that, and then Crypto's gonna be in Supergirl too. We all like, because that's her dog, as we all know. Jesus Christ. But like, yeah, if Superman failed, I mean, Jurassic World, I don't think there's actually a planet in which a Jurassic World movie fails, right? It's still gonna make 600 to 700 to 800 million dollars. And that's just on the name alone, right? It has nothing to do with the movie itself. But if Superman fails, I mean, what is James gonna do after that? Like, how does he spin his way out of a failure of Superman, right? The DC god. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Frank, what about you? Which movie do you think has the most pressure on it?
That has to be Superman. It's got to make 500 million or so to break even. So what, after 500, about 700 to be considered a success is what it's going to have to make. I don't think it's going to have a problem getting there, but basically, like T said, this is it. This is the first movie of a whole new universe. And you're not just putting Superman on the block here either. You've got other Justice Society or Justice League characters in there. You're setting up your entire universe. You know, I don't remember if when Marvel did Iron Man, if they were actually trying to set up the whole universe or if they were just starting with movies, right? If Iron Man failed, would there be an MCU? Would they have been able to go on to the next and the next and the next? Would they have been able to do that? I know he's already got Supergirl in the can and it's ready to go, or you know, it's done filming, I should say. If Superman fails, that puts a huge bullseye on Supergirl now. And with what he was saying before about the women and how fragile some men can be, as even Kenny said it, as fragile as some men can be when there's a woman standing forefront on the screen. You got a movie coming out next year that's got a woman at the forefront of the screen. You don't have to see Superman to have seen Supergirl. But if Superman is a failure, you're not going to want to see Supergirl, and his whole universe is going to start circling the drain. Peacemaker is going to do well. It's on TV. John Cena's at the top of the world right now in wrestling, and you know, he's become such a really good actor, I think. So you're not worried about that, but your movie universe, Superman to me has the absolute most pressure.
Yeah. Zach, what about you?
Oh yeah, it has to be Superman. It's interesting because like I've been thinking about this conversation has been going on for months, and I've had a lot of time to like think over it more and more. And you know, when you look at Jurassic World, for example, and I'm not going to speak to things that I don't really know about, but you know, the tariff stuff could affect it. But ultimately, Jurassic World is the one that internationally can play the best. Big dinosaur mayhem, dinosaurs eating people, that plays to all markets. And I think that's why the Jurassic World movies in and of themselves are just successful. And we can say a movie like Jurassic World Dominion, which it sounds like all four of us agree is not very good or sucks, can can make $1 billion because it still has dinosaurs and people all over the world can understand dinosaur mayhem. So I think Jurassic World, whether it reaches that billion mark or not, I think it's fine. I think Jurassic World is going to be just fine. When it comes to Superman and Fantastic Four, I think they're actually very interesting comparisons because you've got Superman, who his movies have never made $1 billion, at least to my knowledge. Maybe the Reeve films and inflation have, but like Man of Steel did not make $1 billion. Obviously, the team up movies he was in with DCU didn't make $1 billion. Returns didn't make $1 billion. Fantastic Four is also a franchise that's never made $1 billion. And also isn't that beloved. But in terms of box office, they're kind of on equal ground. Now, the Fantastic Four has the benefit of being in the MCU, which, even though people will argue that their brand has been damaged or hurt over the years, they're still the MCU. They had millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people watching Chairs for 8 hours, for crying out loud.
That was
the
crazy.
MCU, despite what people want to say about it, it still holds power. And the Fantastic Four being in there, and there is a large collection of fans and people who have wanted to see the Fantastic Four in the MCU for quite some time. And I do think that there is excitement around Fantastic Four. You can only really speak to your own experiences, but I have cousins who do not go to the movies very often. Like, the movies are a very casual thing for them. They don't make it out every single weekend. They don't care all that much about it. They've already booked their tickets for Fantastic Four. Now, that's just my cousins. They haven't talked about Superman. They haven't booked their tickets for Superman, but they're booked for Fantastic Four, which is still like almost a month out. So that is what I can speak to, where there is some excitement around Fantastic Four, at least from that example. There's also a lot of excitement for Superman from online fandoms, but a lot of the stuff that the fandoms talk about are very minuscule and don't matter to the casual audience. They don't care about that Snyder cultist. They don't care about anything that we kind of sink our teeth into the deepest. They just want to have a good experience at the movies. And Gunn's name is not necessarily a powerful name to the casual audience yet. Some people may know it, but it doesn't hold as much weight as I think it does to us fans. And one of the things that Superman is doing with its marketing that I think is a little bit of a mistake is it's leaning a lot into James Gunn. It's leaning a lot into the fact that he's the director, he's the one behind this, he's putting his face in a lot of the marketing. It's popping up on TikTok, it's popping up on Instagram. I don't know how many casual audiences care, though, that it's James Gunn. So when it comes to Fantastic Four, I think whether it does well or whether it doesn't do well, it's got that backbone of the MCU that's so established. They've still got tons of money, tons of shareholders. Disney's behind them. They have Doomsday. They have Spider-Man coming out. If Fantastic Four tanks, they still have light on the horizon. They're going to be okay. Superman, going to Frank's point, being the Iron Man, is the most pressure on James Gunn and David Zaslav because, Warner Brothers owns DC. Warner Brothers and Marvel, when they had Iron Man, they were an independent studio. They hadn't been inquired by Disney or anyone yet, right? So there was more risk with Iron Man, whereas with Superman, if Superman flops and fails, you're gonna get DC because Warner Brothers has DC. They're gonna utilize that IP. James and Saffron, they're going to be the ones in danger. They're going to be the ones that, Zaslav doesn't seem to be that patient of a guy. If things aren't looking like they're going the way Zaslav wants them to go, I think Gunn and Saffron could be gone very, very easily. So I think the pressure on Superman starting the DCU for Gunn and Saffron's careers, that's where the pressure lies. Because if audiences don't see this as any different from the DCEU, if the casual audience goes into this expecting something different and feeling like they got the same as like Black Adam or The Flash and they just don't gravitate towards it, because you also got to think of repeat viewings, whereas the Fantastic Four may not have as much repeat viewings because the trailers themselves show that there's some weight to that movie. I mean, that movie, fan theory wise, could be the end of a world if Galactus comes and destroys the world and we have to get Fantastic Four off, whereas Superman is quite literally the beginning of a world. So Superman, if it has that lighthearted tone, that fun that the audience latches onto, you'll get the repeat viewings and the movie's going to do just fine. Fantastic Four, I think, has a little bit more danger in that route with the repeat viewings if it has too much weight. But regardless, I think Superman's the one that has the most just like stress on it, because it's got so many more elements that it needs to please with a good box office than Fantastic Four or Jurassic World have to please with a good box office. Sorry, that was a long rant, but I've been holding this in for months.
You killed it. Yeah, nah, good rant, good one. You know what I'm saying? I can clip that and send it to you so you can post it. But no, I mean, to the points, you guys all hit it. I agree. You know, like Superman starting the universe, everything, you know, to all the points that you guys, you know, nailed. And I appreciate you guys for popping on here. You know, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, but I do want to ask one more thing. Because we know, you know, 3 big movies in 1 month can be a little bit tough on people's budgets, but what do you guys think is going to make the most money out of the 3?
Jurassic World. Yeah, Jurassic World. Unfortunate.
Frank?
Fantastic. It's because I'm not seeing Jurassic World. I'm seeing the other 2 movies twice. I'm going twice, both because I got to go once for spoilers and then once because my son wants to see these.
Shame
that
on you,
$20 that you paying is definitely
Shame
going to
on
take
you.
down
I'm
the
doing
budget
my
a lot.
part.
Yeah.
I'm doing my part.
Yeah, I can see Jurassic World too. It also depends on where the other ones get released. Like they have to. We'll see what happens. But ultimately, like 3 good movies this month. I'm excited for all of them, and I hope you guys are too. I do appreciate this panel for coming on. It's been a while since all 4 of us worked together, and I appreciate you guys. Zach, man, it's been a while since we worked together, but it feels so good to have you back on screen with us, man. Tell the people where they can find you at and what you got going on.
Yeah, you can find me at Zach Milne Talks Movies on YouTube, on Instagram. Pretty much just look up Zach Milne Talks Movies and you'll find me all over the place on Twitter. Right now I'm going through the Superman films. Of course, the big movie of the summer for a lot of people is Superman, myself included. So I've gone back and reviewed the Reeve films. I also just put out a ranking of the Reeve films coming this Tuesday. Superman Returns is dropping, and then July 8th, when some people on this panel will be seeing the new Superman films, I will be dropping my review of Man of Steel before the weekend release of Superman.
Nice. T, what about you?
Well, you can find me at the Have You Seen That with T YouTube channels where I sporadically do movie reviews, and I also do a wrestling podcast every week or a live stream every week with a much more handsome co-host than myself.
He's a jabroni.
The podcast chief himself, Frank the Tank. But yeah, like that's where you could catch me, and I definitely appreciate you for having me on, Ace.
Oh, no problem, man. Always good to have you on. Frank, tell them where they can find you at, what you got going on.
Usually you can find me on Monday nights live, Facebook and YouTube, Geek Spot News with my buddy Jack, who loves everything, every single thing that comes out. Jack is currently running through his first ever watch of The Office. It's the one part of the show that Dom dips out on. I have never seen anyone dislike The Office more in my life than Jack has. I have to start clipping them because they're hilarious.
Oh wow.
He thinks Jim and Pam are the most awful human beings on earth. I mean, it's an eye-opening examination. But we do that live mostly every Monday, if not during the week. And then again with my not as good looking co-host for the Island of Relevancy wrestling podcast. We try to get that Wednesday or Thursday. We try to get that in. We talk long.
We do.
Yeah.
But thank you for this. This was the most fun I've had Sunday, and I just came back from playing a hockey game.
Nice. I appreciate that. And all their channels will be linked down below in the comment section. So you guys make sure you guys all check them out. Go like and subscribe. As for me, I'm yours truly, the Ace, for your sports, movies, and more. By yours truly. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe to everybody. Thank you guys, and we're out of here. As always, thank you for tuning into the Ace Avenue. I'm yours truly, the Ace, with Zach, Frank, and T. Adios.